The grand hall of the Varshan High Council gleamed with strange blue lights. Lieutenant Ja Kim stood straight in her Earth Alliance uniform, trying not to stare too much at the tall, six-fingered aliens who had welcomed the human delegation to their world. "Remember," Captain Han whispered to his team, "this is the first time humans have been invited to Vartis. Do not touch anything without permission." Jia nodded. As the ship's xenobiologist, she knew how important this meeting was. After 50 years of space travel, humans had met only 3 alien species. The Varshans were the fourth, and perhaps the most advanced. The head of the Varshan Council, a being called Elder Moro, stepped forward. His skin shimmered like water under moonlight. "We welcome our visitors from Earth," Elder Moro said in a voice that sounded like stones falling into water. "Today we share knowledge and begin friendship between our worlds." Jia listened carefully to the translator in her ear. The captain and the diplomats began talking with the council about trade, science, and cultural exchange. But Jia's attention was pulled away by a small movement in the corner of the hall. Something was watching them from behind a tall plant. Something with eyes that reflected light like tiny moons. While the others talked, Jia slowly moved toward the plant. The creature did not run away. As she got closer, she saw what looked exactly like a cat, but not quite. It had the same shape as Earth cats, with pointed ears and whiskers, but its dark fur was covered in glowing blue-green marks that pulsed with light. "Beautiful," Jia whispered, kneeling down. The cat-like creature tilted its head, studying her with intelligent eyes. "You should not approach the Lumini," said a voice behind her. Jia turned quickly to see a Varshan wearing different clothes than the council members. This one wore simple white robes with blue symbols. "I'm sorry," Jia said, standing up. "I didn't mean any harm. It looks like animals we have on Earth called cats." The Varshan nodded. "I am Tiro, keeper of the sacred beings. The Lumini are not simple animals. They connect us to the universe's wisdom. They choose who to approach." Jia looked back at the creature, which was now sitting and cleaning its paw just like an Earth cat would. "This one seems interested in you," Tiro said, sounding surprised. "This is unusual. Lumini avoid outsiders." The cat-like being stood up and walked to Jia, rubbing against her leg. The glowing marks on its fur pulsed brighter. "May I touch it?" Jia asked. Tiro hesitated, then nodded. "It has chosen to approach you. This is permitted." Jia gently ran her hand over the Lumini's back. Its fur felt warm and soft, and she felt a strange tingling in her fingertips. The creature made a sound like purring, but with a musical quality that no Earth cat had. "On my world, cats like this became very rare," Jia said softly. "Environmental disasters nearly wiped them out. I had one as a child, the last one in our city." "The Lumini are rare as well," Tiro said. "They are born only during certain star alignments. We care for them in our temples." Jia felt a strange sadness from the Lumini as Tiro spoke. It was just a feeling, but it seemed so clear, like the creature understood the conversation. "Lieutenant Kim," Captain Han called. "Please join us. The council wants to hear about our biological research." Jia straightened her uniform and walked back to the main group. But she could feel the Lumini's eyes following her across the room. Something about its gaze touched her deeply, reminding her of her childhood cat from Earth, the one friend who had helped her through her lonely years after her parents died. As she joined the diplomatic talks, Jia couldn't help looking back at the Lumini. Its glowing marks pulsed in rhythm, almost like it was trying to tell her something important. She didn't know it yet, but this meeting would change everything. 3 days passed on planet Vartis. The Earth team spread out to learn about the new world. Lieutenant Ja Kim led a small science group through the rocky hills near the city. "Take samples every 100 meters, she told her team. "And remember to record all life forms you see." The Varshan guide, Tiro, walked ahead of them. He pointed out plants and explained their uses. Jia listened carefully, but part of her mind was elsewhere. Since the welcome ceremony, She had seen the same Lumini cat creature several times. It seemed to follow her. Now, as they climbed a steep path, Gia spotted it again. The Lumini sat on a rock watching their group. Its glowing marks pulsed with blue-green light. "Your shadow has returned," Tiro said, noticing Gia's gaze. "Why does it follow me?" Gia asked. Tiro looked troubled. "It is not normal. The Lumini stay near the temples. This one breaks tradition by following you." The Lumini jumped down from its rock and walked beside Gia. The other scientists watched with surprise. "Can I study it?" Gia asked. "Just basic readings." Tiro hesitated, but nodded. "Be gentle. The Lumini are sacred." Gia knelt and ran her scanner over the cat-like creature. The readings made her eyes widen. "These energy patterns are unlike anything I've seen," she said. "Its brain activity is incredibly complex." The Lumini purred and pressed its head against her hand. Gia felt a strange sensation, like a whisper in her mind. Not words exactly, but feelings. Curiosity, friendliness, and something like hope. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath them. Rocks began to fall from the cliffs above. "Earthquake," shouted one of the scientists. "We need to get to open ground." The team scattered. Gia lost her footing as the earth cracked. She fell, sliding down into a narrow crack that opened in the path. She heard her team calling her name, their voices fading as she tumbled deeper into darkness. When she stopped falling, Gia was alone in a dark cave. Her leg hurt badly. The communicator on her wrist was broken. "Hello," she called. "Can anyone hear me?" Only echoes answered. Fear gripped her chest. The air was thin here, and she had no way to climb back up the steep walls. Then she saw two glowing eyes in the darkness. The Lumini had somehow followed her down. Its markings glowed brighter now, lighting the cave with soft blue-green light. "You're here," Gia said with relief. "But we're both trapped now." The Lumini walked to her, then turned and moved a few steps away. It looked back at her expectantly. "You want me to follow you." The creature's markings pulsed in what seemed like agreement. With effort, Gia stood up, wincing at the pain in her leg. She limped after the Lumini, which led her through a low tunnel. As they moved deeper into the cave system, Gia realized the Lumini knew exactly where it was going. After nearly an hour of slow progress, they reached a chamber where light filtered down from cracks in the ceiling. "This is amazing," Gia whispered. The Lumini sat in a patch of light, its eyes fixed on Gia, and suddenly she felt that strange sensation again, the whisper in her mind. But stronger now. Images filled her thoughts. Pathways through the caves, the surface above, safety. Gia gasped. "You're communicating with me." Telepathically. The Lumini's markings pulsed rapidly. More impressions flowed into Gia's mind. The temple, fear, pain. Then an image of the night sky with 3 moons aligned. "What are you trying to tell me?" Before she could understand more, she heard voices echoing through the caves. Her team had found a way down and were searching for her. "I'm here," she called. When the rescue team reached her, led by Tiro, they looked amazed to find her alive, and even more surprised to see the Lumini with her. "It saved me," Gia told them. "It showed me the way through the caves." Tiro's expression darkened. "This is troubling. The bond you share is forbidden." "What do you mean?" Gia asked. "The Lumini has connected with your mind," Tiro said quietly. "Such bonds are only for the high priests. And this one." He looked at the creature with sadness. "This one is chosen for the alignment ceremony in 2 days." "What ceremony?" Tiro would not meet her eyes. "When the 3 moons align, a chosen Lumini returns its essence to the cosmic consciousness. It is our highest honor." The meaning hit Gia like cold water. In her mind, she felt the Lumini's fear, and suddenly understood what it had been trying to tell her all along. They planned to kill it. The last evening on planet Vartis arrived quickly. Tomorrow, the Earth team would board their ship and leave, Lieutenant Ja Kim sat alone in her temporary room, packing her equipment. Her mind was troubled. "The ceremony is tonight," she whispered to herself. All day, she had thought about the Lumini and its telepathic messages. She had tried to tell Captain Han about the ceremony, suggesting they ask the Vartians to spare the creature. But the captain refused to interfere with local customs. "We are guests here," he had said firmly. "We cannot question their sacred practices. This alliance is too important." Jia knew he was right, but her heart disagreed. The Lumini had saved her life. It had connected with her mind. It was intelligent and afraid. She closed her case with a sigh. Then she heard a soft scratching at her window. Jia opened it and gasped. The Lumini was there, balanced on the narrow ledge. Its glowing markings were dim, and it moved with difficulty. "You're hurt," Jia said, gently lifting the creature inside. The Lumini's side had a long cut. It looked like someone had tried to catch it, and it had escaped. When Jia touched its fur, a wave of fear and pain flooded her mind. Images flashed in her thoughts. The temple, priests in dark robes, other Lumini watching with sad eyes, a knife with strange symbols. "They started the ceremony," Jia whispered, "but you got away." The Lumini pressed against her hand, and new images came. The Earth ship, stars, safety. Jia's heart raced. The creature was asking her to take it away from Vartis. This was impossible. Taking a sacred being would destroy the new alliance. She could be arrested, lose her rank, face court-martial. But as she looked into the Lumini's intelligent eyes, Jia made her decision. "I'll help you," she said softly. Working quickly, Jia took out her medical kit and treated the Lumini's wound. Then she emptied one of her specimen containers, a clear box about the size of a small suitcase. She lined it with soft cloth and made air holes in the top. "It's not comfortable, but it will get you to the ship," she told the Lumini. The creature seemed to understand. It climbed into the box willingly. Jia closed the lid, leaving it slightly open for air. Then she covered the container with her jacket. Jia's heart pounded as she walked through the halls of the Vartian guest building. Two priests rushed past her, clearly searching for something. They didn't stop to look at the Earth scientists carrying her equipment. Outside, the 3 moons of Vartis were beginning to align in the night sky. Bells rang from the temple. The ceremony would soon discover its chosen Lumini was missing. The Earth ship waited at the landing area. Guards checked everyone boarding, but they were looking for Vartian objects, not living creatures. When Jia reached the security point, she held her breath. "Equipment case," she explained, showing her science officer badge. The guard waved her through. Once inside the ship, Jia hurried to her small private room. All crew members had tiny sleeping quarters with storage space underneath the bed. This basement area would have to be the Lumini's home until they reached Earth. Jia opened the container. The Lumini stepped out, its markings glowing brighter now. Relief flowed from its mind to hers. "You need a name," Jia whispered. "I'll call you Taiyang. It means sun in my language, because you glow like one." Taiyang purred softly. Then they both froze as alarms began to sound outside. Through her window, Jia saw Vartian officials talking urgently with Captain Han. They were gesturing angrily. "They know you're missing," Jia told Taiyang. "But they don't know you're here." Taiyang crawled under the bed into the storage area. Jia quickly arranged her things to hide the space, creating a small secret basement. Then she straightened her uniform and prepared to act normal when questioned. As the ship's engines started, signaling emergency departure, Jia realized there was no going back. For this cat-like alien, she had just risked everything. The Earth ship Horizon hummed quietly as it traveled through space. Lieutenant Ja Kim sat at her workstation in the science lab, trying to focus on her reports. 3 days had passed since they left Vartis in a hurry. The captain had not been happy. "The Vartians accused us of stealing a sacred creature," Captain Han had told the crew. "I assured them we did not. If anyone knows anything about this, speak now. Gia had remained silent, her face calm even as her heart raced. No one had suspected her. Now, alone in the lab, she checked that the door was locked before opening her private research files. She had been documenting Taiyang's abilities in secret. The Lumini stayed hidden in the storage space beneath her quarters, which she now called the basement. She visited 3 times each day, bringing food and spending time with the creature. Your bioluminescent patterns are fascinating, Jia whispered to herself as she reviewed her notes. She had discovered that Taiyang's glowing markings changed based on emotions. Blue meant calm, green meant curious, purple meant afraid. But there was something even more interesting. When Taiyang was near the ship's computer terminals, the screens sometimes flickered in the same pattern as the markings. Somehow you affect electronic systems, Jia noted in her file. Is that why the Vartians think you connect to cosmic energy? The door chimed, interrupting her thoughts. Jia quickly closed her files. Enter, she called, trying to sound normal. Commander Doyen Park walked in. He was the ship's executive officer and had been Jia's classmate at the Space Academy years ago. Working late again? He asked with a friendly smile. Just finishing my mission reports, Jia answered. Doyen sat on the edge of her desk. You've been different since Vartis. Quiet. Always in your room or the lab. Are you okay? Just tired, Jia said. It was an intense mission. The captain is still upset about the diplomatic problem, Doyen said, watching her face. The Vartians were convinced one of us took their sacred animal. Jia kept her expression neutral. Strange. Maybe it just wandered off. Maybe. Doyen didn't look convinced. You spent more time with the Vartians than anyone. Did you learn anything about these Lumini creatures? A warning bell rang in Jia's mind. Was he suspicious? Only what the guides told everyone, she said carefully. They're rare animals with some telepathic abilities. The Vartians consider them sacred. Telepathic. Doyen raised his eyebrows. That would be an important scientific discovery. If it's true, Jia said with a shrug. We didn't have time to study them properly. Her communicator beeped loudly, making both of them jump. It was the ship's medical officer, Dr. Mina Song. Lieutenant Kim, I need your help with analyzing some unusual biological samples, Dr. Song's voice said. Jia had no such samples. This was strange. I'll be right there, she replied, standing up. Sorry, Doyen. Duty calls. When Jia reached the medical bay, she found Dr. Song alone. There are no samples, Dr. Song said quietly. But there is a problem in your quarters. Jia felt cold fear. What do you mean? The maintenance crew reported strange energy readings coming from beneath your room, Dr. Song explained. They were going to inspect it, but I told them I would handle it because it might be related to your research specimens. Jia stared at her friend. Minna. I'd known you since we were children, Jia, Dr. Song said. You've been acting strange, sneaking food. And now these energy readings that match nothing in our database. She stepped closer and lowered her voice. You brought something back from Vartis, didn't you? Jia hesitated, then nodded slowly. Show me, Dr. Song said. Back in Jia's quarters, Jia opened the hidden space beneath her bed. Taiyang looked up at them, its markings pulsing with nervous purple light. Dr. Song gasped. The Lumini, Jia, do you know what you've done? This could mean court-martial. They were going to kill it. Jia explained quickly. It's intelligent, Minna. It communicates telepathically. I couldn't let them sacrifice it for some ceremony. Taiyang crawled out and stood before Dr. Song. Slowly, its markings changed from purple to a gentle green. It pressed its head against the doctor's hand. Dr. Song's eyes widened. I feel. It's in my mind. Now you understand, Jia said. Will you help me keep it safe? 3 weeks was a long journey back to Earth. Jia would need an ally if she hoped to keep her secret that long. All crew prepare for biohazard scan, announced the ship's computer voice. Standard procedure when entering Earth space. Scan begins in 2 hours. Lieutenant Jia Kim looked at Dr. Munasong with wide, worried eyes. They were in Zhe's quarters, with Taeyang sitting between them on the bed. The scan will detect Taeyang, Jia said. Any non-Earth life form sets off the alarms. And then they'll take it away for testing, Dr. Song added. Standard procedure for unknown alien life. Taeyang's markings pulsed with worried purple light. The Lumini seemed to understand their conversation. We need a plan, Jia said. Can we hide Taeyang somewhere the scanners don't reach? Dr. Song shook her head. The scanners check every part of the ship. That's the point. Jia paced the small room. For the past 2 weeks, Dr. Song had helped her care for Taeyang. The doctor had also run some tests and confirmed what Jia suspected. The Lumini was highly intelligent. Wait, Dr. Song said suddenly. What if we don't need to hide Taeyang, but just its alien biosignature? How? I've been studying the stasis fields we use for medical samples, Dr. Song explained. They don't just freeze time for the samples. They also block all energy emissions. If we modified one, we could temporarily suppress Taeyang's unique energy pattern. Jia finished the thought. Minna, you're brilliant. They worked quickly, taking a small stasis unit from the medical bay to Zhe's room. Dr. Song adjusted the settings while Jia comforted Taeyang, who seemed nervous about the device. It won't hurt you, she promised. It's just for a short time. The stasis field hummed to life, surrounding Taeyang in a barely visible bubble. The Lumini's glowing marks dimmed but didn't disappear completely. It's not perfect, Dr. Song warned. The field will only last 4 hours, and Taeyang's signature is reduced, not eliminated. Let's hope it's enough, Jia said. The biohazard scan started right on schedule. Jia sat in her room, trying to read a book while scanners hummed in the walls. Taeyang stayed quiet in its basement hiding place, surrounded by the stasis field. Just as the scan was finishing, Jia's door chimed. Come in, she called, heart racing. Commander Doyen Park entered, holding a scanner device. Hello, Jia. Just doing some follow-up checks. Is there a problem? Jia asked, keeping her voice steady. Maybe. Doyen looked around the room. The main scan detected some unusual energy readings in this section. Very faint, but not matching any known Earth pattern. He walked slowly around the room, his scanner beeping softly. As he approached the bed, the beeping increased. Interesting, he said, kneeling down to look underneath. Jia's mind raced. She needed a distraction. Fast. Commander, she said urgently, I just remembered something important about the samples in Lab 3. The containment field might be failing. Doyen straightened up. What samples? The bacterial cultures from Vartis. Jia improvised. They multiply quickly under certain conditions. If the field is weakening. Doyen's eyes widened. That could contaminate the whole deck. I should check it right away, Jia said, moving toward the door. I'll come with you, Doyen said, following her. He glanced back at the bed once more, but then hurried out. In the lab, Jia pretended to check containment systems while Doyen watched. Of course, there was no problem to find. False alarm, she said finally. The readings are normal. Doyen nodded, but his eyes were thoughtful. Just like the readings in your quarters must have been a false alarm too. Probably just interference from my research equipment, Jia suggested. Probably, Doyen agreed, but he didn't sound convinced. When Jia returned to her room, she found Dr. Song waiting anxiously. That was too close, the doctor whispered. The stasis field is already weakening, and we have more scans scheduled before we reach Earth. How many more days? Jia asked. 5, Dr. Song replied. And Doyen is suspicious. I saw him checking your file access records. Jia looked down at Taeyang, who gazed back with intelligent eyes. The Lumini's markings were blue now, calm despite the danger. We'll find a way, Jia promised, stroking the soft fur. Somehow, we'll get you safely to Earth. But as she said it, she wondered if she was making a promise she couldn't keep. "Welcome home, Horizon crew," said the voice from Earth Orbital Command. "Prepare for landing procedures." Lieutenant Jia Kim looked out the window at the blue planet below. After 5 difficult days of hiding Taiyang from more scans, they had finally reached Earth. The captain had announced that all crew would have 3 days of leave before their mission debriefing. Perfect timing. Jia told Dr. Minasong as they packed their things. "I can take Taiyang to my apartment before anyone asks too many questions." But there was a new problem. Taiyang was not looking well. The Lumini's bright markings had grown dim, and it moved slowly without its usual energy. "What's wrong with it?" Jia asked worriedly. Dr. Song ran a medical scanner over the creature. "Its vital signs are weakening. I'm not sure why. We've been feeding it properly." Taiyang pressed its head against Jia's hand. Weak images formed in her mind. The 3 moons of Vartis, strange light patterns, a feeling of thirst that no water could satisfy. It needs something from its home world, Jia realized. Something we can't provide here. But they had no time to solve this mystery now. The ship was landing, and they needed to smuggle Taiyang off the base without being caught. Dr. Song had prepared a special travel case with air holes and a hidden compartment. As they walked through the busy spaceport, Jia's heart pounded with every security officer they passed. But no one stopped them. Jia's apartment was in New Seoul, a shining city built inside one of Earth's new biodomes. The apartment was small but had a storage basement area beneath the main floor, perfect for creating a home for Taiyang. "I'll set up a habitat down here," Jia told Taiyang as she arranged soft blankets in the basement space. "It's not Vartis, but it's safe." But over the next 2 days, Taiyang grew even weaker. Its telepathic messages became confused and faint. The glowing markings flickered like a dying light. On losing it, Jia told Dr. Song over the secure communication line. "I don't know what to do." Dr. Song's face looked grim on the screen. "I've been researching everything we learned about the Lumini. The Vartians said they're connected to cosmic energy, right? What if that's not just a religious belief? What if they actually need some kind of specific radiation? That would explain why it's getting weaker away from Vartis," Jia said. "But how can we recreate alien radiation patterns here on Earth?" She thought hard, then remembered someone who might help. Professor Hyun Lee had been her teacher at the academy. Now he worked at the Korean Science Academy, specializing in stellar radiation. Jia hesitated. Telling anyone else about Taiyang was dangerous, but the Lumini was dying. She had no choice. She made the call. Professor Lee answered immediately, his kind face appearing on screen. "Jia, good to see you. I heard your mission to Vartis was successful." "Professor Lee, I need your help," Jia said. "But what I'm about to tell you must remain secret." She explained everything. The Lumini, the sacrifice ceremony, the rescue, and now Taiyang's failing health. To her relief, Professor Lee didn't look shocked or judgmental. "Bring your friend to my private lab tonight," he said simply. "I want to help." That evening, Jia carefully transported the weakened Taiyang to the Science Academy. Professor Lee was waiting alone in his lab as promised. When he saw Taiyang, his eyes widened with wonder. "Extraordinary," he whispered. "A true telepathic being." He gently examined the Lumini, who was too weak now to move away. Then Professor Lee connected sensors to his computer and held them near Taiyang's markings. "These energy patterns are unlike anything I've seen," he said, studying the readings. "But they're similar to the radiation from Vartis's 3 moons during alignment. Can you recreate it?" Jia asked desperately. Professor Lee looked thoughtful. "I've been working on a device that can generate custom radiation patterns for study. If I adjust it, how long will it take?" Jia glanced at Taiyang, worried about how little time they might have. 3 days to build something that might work," Professor Lee said. "But your friend may not have 3 days." Jia stroked Taiyang's dim fur. "Please try," she begged. "It's my fault Taiyang is suffering. I took it from its home." What she didn't say was that she was also running out of time. Soon she would be called for debriefing, and questions would be asked about the missing Lumini. As if reading her thoughts, Professor Lee said quietly, "You know the Alliance is looking for the stolen sacred being, don't you? It's all over the news feeds. The Vartians are demanding its return." Jia nodded slowly. Her time was running out in more ways than one. "This is a serious diplomatic crisis," Admiral Sukhan said, her face stern as she addressed the officers in the meeting room. "The Vartians have formally accused us of stealing one of their sacred beings." Commander Doyen Park sat quietly, watching the faces of the Horizon crew members. Captain Han looked angry. Most officers seemed confused, but Lieutenant Jia Kim kept her eyes down, her expression too carefully neutral. "We have denied these accusations," Admiral Han continued. "But the Vartians insist the Lumini disappeared during our visit. They demand its return, or they will end all diplomatic relations with Earth." She turned to Commander Park. "You will lead this investigation. Review all security recordings from the ship. Interview every crew member. Find out what happened to this creature." Doyen nodded. "Yes, Admiral." Later that day, in a small office at Earth Alliance headquarters, Doyen began his investigation. He started by watching security videos from the Horizon. For hours, he saw nothing unusual. Then, on the night before they left Vartis, he noticed Lieutenant Kim walking quickly through the corridors, carrying an equipment container partly covered by her jacket. "Computer, enhance this section," he ordered. The image zoomed in. The container was standard science equipment, but Doyen noticed it had air holes that weren't normally there. Next, he reviewed Jia's file access records. She had created new research files about Lumini biology, but kept them highly restricted. And there were strange power usage patterns in her quarters, spikes that matched no known equipment. "Computer, show me Lieutenant Kim's communication records since returning to Earth." The screen displayed several calls between Jia and Dr. Minasong. That wasn't surprising. They were friends. But there was also a call to Professor Hyun Lee at the Korean Science Academy. Why would she contact a physicist specializing in stellar radiation? Doyen wondered aloud. He decided to visit Jia's apartment, but when he arrived, no one answered the door. According to her neighbors, she hadn't been home for 2 days. Doyen returned to headquarters and called Dr. Song to his office. "Where is Lieutenant Kim?" he asked directly. "I believe she's visiting family," Dr. Song said, not meeting his eyes. "Don't lie to me, Mina," Doyen said quietly. "I know about the Lumini." Dr. Song's eyes widened. "You do." "Not everything," Doyen admitted, "but enough. The hidden container, the strange energy readings on the ship, the calls to Professor Lee. Jia took the Lumini from Vartis, didn't she?" After a long silence, Dr. Song nodded. "She had to. They were going to kill it in some ritual." "Where is she now?" "At the Science Academy with Professor Lee. The Lumini is dying, Doyen. It needs special radiation from its home world." Doyen stood up, gathering his tablet. "Take me there." At the Science Academy, they found Professor Lee working frantically on a complex device, while Jia sat nearby, holding the weakened Lumini in her arms. The creature's markings barely glowed now. When Jia saw Doyen, she gasped. "You found me." "It wasn't hard," Doyen said. "You left quite a trail." Professor Lee stepped forward. "Commander, whatever you intend to do, please wait. We're trying to save this being's life." "By creating a device that simulates Vartian radiation?" Doyen asked, looking at the professor's work. "Yes. The Lumini require it to survive. Without it, this one will die within hours." Doyen looked at Jia. "Do you understand what you've done? You've created an interplanetary incident. The Vartians are threatening to cut all ties with Earth." "I had no choice," Jia said, stroking Taeyang's fur. "They were going to sacrifice it. It's intelligent, Doyen. It can communicate telepathically." "That's a serious claim." "It's true," Dr. Song insisted. Both Jia and I have experienced it. Doyen looked skeptical. Even if that's true, you broke regulations, endangered the mission, and now Earth's relationship with Vartis is at risk. I know, Jia said quietly, and I accept whatever punishment comes. But please, let us try to save Taeyang first. Taeyang. That's its name now, Jia said. It means sun in Korean. Doyen stared at the dying creature. Its eyes, once bright, now looked dull and tired. Despite himself, he felt pity. I have orders to find the missing Lumini and report back immediately, he said. Jia looked up at him, eyes pleading. And will you? Doyen's hand hovered over his communicator. His duty was clear, but something held him back. Let me see this telepathic ability first, he said. Then I'll decide. This is a serious diplomatic crisis, Admiral Suk-Han said, her face stern as she addressed the officers in the meeting room. The Vartians have formally accused us of stealing one of their sacred beings. Commander Doyen Park sat quietly, watching the faces of the Horizon crew members. Captain Han looked angry. Most officers seemed confused. But Lieutenant Jia Kim kept her eyes down, her expression too carefully neutral. We have denied these accusations, Admiral Han continued. But the Vartians insist the Lumini disappeared during our visit. They demand its return, or they will end all diplomatic relations with Earth. She turned to Commander Park. You will lead this investigation. Review all security recordings from the ship. Interview every crew member. Find out what happened to this creature. Doyen nodded. Yes, Admiral. Later that day, in a small office at Earth Alliance headquarters, Doyen began his investigation. He started by watching security videos from the Horizon. For hours, he saw nothing unusual. Then, on the night before they left Vartis, he noticed Lieutenant Kim walking quickly through the corridors, carrying an equipment container partly covered by her jacket. Computer, enhance this section, he ordered. The image zoomed in. The container was standard science equipment, but Doyen noticed it had air holes that weren't normally there. Next, he reviewed Jia's file access records. She had created new research files about Lumini biology, but kept them highly restricted. And there were strange power usage patterns in her quarters, spikes that matched no known equipment. Computer, show me Lieutenant Kim's communication records since returning to Earth. The screen displayed several calls between Jia and Dr. Minasong. That wasn't surprising. They were friends. But there was also a call to Professor Hyun Lee at the Korean Science Academy. Why would she contact a physicist specializing in stellar radiation? Doyen wondered aloud. He decided to visit Jia's apartment, but when he arrived, no one answered the door. According to her neighbors, she hadn't been home for 2 days. Doyen returned to headquarters and called Dr. Song to his office. Where is Lieutenant Kim? He asked directly. I believe she's visiting family, Dr. Song said, not meeting his eyes. Don't lie to me, Mina, Doyen said quietly. I know about the Lumini. Dr. Song's eyes widened. You do. Not everything, Doyen admitted. But enough. The hidden container. The strange energy readings on the ship, the calls to Professor Lee. Jia took the Lumini from Vartis, didn't she? After a long silence, Dr. Song nodded. She had to. They were going to kill it in some ritual. Where is she now? At the Science Academy with Professor Lee. The Lumini is dying, Doyen. It needs special radiation from its home world. Doyen stood up, gathering his tablet. Take me there. At the Science Academy, they found Professor Lee working frantically on a complex device, while Jia sat nearby, holding the weakened Lumini in her arms. The creature's markings barely glowed now. When Jia saw Doyen, she gasped. You found me. It wasn't hard, Doyen said. You left quite a trail. Professor Lee stepped forward. Commander, whatever you intend to do, please wait. We're trying to save this being's life. By creating a device that simulates Vartian radiation, Doyen asked, looking at the professor's work. Yes, The Lumini require it to survive. Without it, this one will die within hours. Doyen looked at Jia. Do you understand what you've done? You've created an interplanetary incident. The Vartians are threatening to cut all ties with Earth. I had no choice, Jia said, stroking Taeyang's fur. They were going to sacrifice it. It's intelligent, Doyen. It can communicate telepathically. That's a serious claim. It's true, Dr. Song insisted. Both Jia and I have experienced it. Doyen looked skeptical. Even if that's true, you broke regulations, endangered the mission, and now Earth's relationship with Vartis is at risk. I know, Jia said quietly, and I accept whatever punishment comes. But please, let us try to save Taeyang first. Taeyang. That's its name now, Jia said. It means sun in Korean. Doyen stared at the dying creature. Its eyes, once bright, now looked dull and tired. Despite himself, he felt pity. I have orders to find the missing Lumini and report back immediately, he said. Jia looked up at him, eyes pleading. And will you? Doyen's hand hovered over his communicator. His duty was clear, but something held him back. Let me see this telepathic ability first, he said. Then I'll decide. What do I need to do? Commander Doyen Park asked, kneeling beside the weakened Lumini. Just touch its head, Jia instructed. Taeyang will do the rest, if it still has enough strength. Doyen hesitated, then placed his hand gently on the Lumini's head. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Taeyang's markings flickered, glowing slightly brighter. Doyen gasped as images and feelings flooded his mind. A temple on Vartis. Rows of Lumini in special chambers. Young ones being taught to suppress their mental powers. Pain when they reached out too far. Fear of the priests. The selection ceremony, where the strongest were chosen not for honor, but to prevent them from forming deep bonds with the Vartians. The truth about the sacrifices, not religious necessity, but control. When the connection broke, Doyen sat back, his face pale with shock. They're intelligent, he whispered, not just animals. And the priests know this. Yes, Jia said. The Vartian priests have been keeping the truth from their own people. The sacrifices prevent the Lumini from revealing the priests' centuries of lies. Professor Lee's device beeped loudly, drawing everyone's attention. It's ready, he announced. The radiation simulator should work now. He activated the machine, which hummed softly. A gentle glow, similar to moonlight, but with a blue-green tint, filled the room. Taeyang's markings began to pulse in response, growing slowly brighter. It's working, Dr. Song said, checking her medical scanner. Taeyang's vital signs are stabilizing. As they watched, the Lumini's eyes grew more alert. It stood up shakily, moving toward the radiation source. The question now, Doyen said, is what do we do about the diplomatic crisis? Jia looked at him anxiously. You've felt Taeyang's mind. You know the truth. Will you still turn us in? Before Doyen could answer, Taeyang walked to the center of the room. Its markings now glowed with intense light, brighter than they had ever seen. The Lumini stared at a computer terminal nearby, and suddenly the screen flickered on. What's happening? Doyen asked. Incredible, Professor Lee whispered. It's interfacing with our systems. Lines of code scrolled across the screen faster than human eyes could follow. Then images appeared, data from Vartis, hidden records from the temples, secret communications between priests. The Lumini was revealing everything. This changes everything, Doyen said slowly. The Lumini aren't just telepathic. They can communicate with technology. No wonder the priests fear them. This is why they perform the sacrifices, Jia realized. They're afraid the Lumini will expose their lies to the Vartian people. As they talked, Taeyang continued downloading information to the Earth computers. Data about Vartian history, technology, and biology filled the screens, knowledge that had been suppressed for generations. Doyen made his decision. I cannot in good conscience return Taeyang to Vartis for sacrifice. This is no longer about a stolen animal. This is about a refugee seeking asylum from persecution. Asylum? Dr. Song asked. Can we do that? There's precedent in Earth Alliance law. Doyen explained. Sentient beings facing death or oppression can request protection. I believe Taeyang qualifies. Jia could hardly believe what she was hearing. So you won't report us? I will report the truth, Doyen said firmly. That we have discovered the Lumini are an intelligent species being oppressed on Vartis. That changes our entire diplomatic approach. Professor Lee smiled. The Vartians themselves might not know the full truth about the Lumini. This revelation could help their society as well as ours. Suddenly, the lab door opened. Admiral Suk-Han walked in, followed by 2 security officers. Commander Park, she said coldly, you failed to report in. I decided to find you myself. Her eyes locked on Taeyang, whose markings pulsed with alarm. So the accusations were true, the Admiral said. You found the stolen Lumini. Why wasn't I informed immediately? Doyen stepped forward. Admiral, there's something you need to experience first. He gestured to Taeyang. This isn't just an animal. And what I've learned changes everything we thought we knew about Vartis. Admiral Han looked skeptical but curious. Explain yourself, Commander. It would be better if I showed you, Doyen said, nodding to Taeyang. The Lumini looked up at the Admiral, its glowing eyes seeming to ask a question. Admiral Suk-Han frowned at Commander Park. This is highly irregular, Commander. Please, Admiral, Jia pleaded. Just give Taeyang a chance to show you. After a moment of hesitation, the Admiral stepped forward. Very well. What do I do? Just touch its head, Doyen explained. The connection happens automatically. Admiral Han carefully placed her hand on Taeyang's head. The Lumini's markings glowed brightly, pulsing in complex patterns. The Admiral's stern expression changed to wonder, then shock, and finally understanding. When she pulled her hand away, she was silent for a long moment. This changes everything, she finally said. These beings are not animals. They're an enslaved intelligent species. Yes, Jia agreed. The priests have been hiding the truth for centuries. Admiral Han turned to the security officers. Leave us. This is now classified at the highest level. After they left, she faced the group. Lieutenant Kim, you removed this being from Vartis against regulations. You hid it on a military vessel. You lied to superior officers. These are serious offenses. Jia stood straight, accepting responsibility. Yes, Admiral, I did all those things, and I would do them again. To everyone's surprise, Admiral Han smiled slightly. Good. Moral courage is rare, Lieutenant. Too many officers follow orders without questioning if they're right. She walked to the computer screens, studying the information Taeyang had provided. This evidence proves the Lumini are being systematically oppressed. Earth Alliance cannot support such practices, even for diplomatic advantage. What will you do? Professor Lee asked. First, we classify Taeyang as a political refugee, not stolen property. Second, we present this evidence to the Vartian people, not just their priests. And third, she turned to Jia. We prepare a return mission to Vartis, a mission focused on Lumini rights. Jia could hardly believe what she was hearing. You mean we're going to help them? Earth has a long, sad history of oppressing those who are different, Admiral Han said. We learned our lessons the hard way. We won't stand by while another intelligent species suffers the same fate. Dr. Song smiled. So Jia won't face court-martial. There will be a hearing, Admiral Han said firmly. But instead of punishment, I expect Lieutenant Kim will receive a commendation for exceptional moral judgment. 2 weeks later, Jia stood in a special chamber at Earth Alliance headquarters. Taeyang sat beside her, its markings glowing brightly. Professor Lee's radiation device had been refined into a smaller unit that kept the Lumini healthy. On a large screen, the Vartian High Council watched the proceedings. The Earth Alliance formally recognizes the Lumini as an intelligent species with full rights, announced Admiral Han. We request that Vartus acknowledge these rights and end all sacrificial ceremonies immediately. The Vartian council members looked shocked. The head priest began to protest, but stopped when Taeyang stepped forward. The Lumini's markings pulsed intensely, and suddenly all the communication screens in the room activated at once. Images from Vartus appeared, Lumini in their temples, reaching out telepathically to ordinary Vartians, sharing the truth that had been hidden for so long. "This is unprecedented," gasped a Vartian council member. "The Lumini are speaking directly to our world." In the weeks that followed, Vartian society experienced a profound transformation. The old priest system collapsed as people learned the truth. A new cooperation began between Vartians and Lumini, based on mutual respect rather than religious fear. Jia was appointed head of the new Xenobiology Ethics Division, with Taeyang as her official partner. Together, they worked to establish new guidelines for human contact with alien species. "We almost made a terrible mistake," Jia told Taeyang one evening as they sat in her apartment, no longer needing to hide in the basement. "Humans almost helped continue your people's oppression." Taeyang's markings pulsed warmly as it shared a vision in Jia's mind. Other Lumini across Vartus, now free to develop their abilities openly. The image expanded to show countless stars, with the suggestion of other worlds where similar beings might be waiting for discovery. In saving one cat-like alien from her basement, Jia had changed the future for 2 species, and perhaps many more to come.